Hey everybody, I have a quick video here for you today, and I'm just going to address a couple points relating to the Shroud of Turin. And this is something I've talked about at length, and I still have doubters leaving me comments and name calling. I think is pretty funny. But I have put out the challenge, if anybody doesn't think that the Shroud is an actual 2,000-year-old relic that really ignited the Christian movement, please take it up with me on Skype so I can record it for my channel, and hopefully you'll fare better than the last person with tens of thousands of subscribers that tried to take this issue up with me and was thoroughly embarrassed. I'm not going to mention his name. But today I'm going to show you how these earliest pictures of Christ were absolutely taken 100% for sure from the Shroud of Turin. And this is one of them, a famous one, and also in the Hagia Sophia, where the shroud was kept from 944 to 1204. This is one of the famous mosaics, and I am just going to show you a brief presentation. I will leave you the link for the whole lecture below, but I just want to show you how these earliest paintings were taken, for sure, from the Shroud of Turin.
During the persecution of the Jews and the Roman destruction of all the temples, around 60-70 AD, they think it was taken to Edessa, Turkey, and it remained there under the control of the first Christian city king, King Apgar, who was, legend has it, cured of leprosy by the touching the shroud. So at that point in time, he became a Christian. Of course, he's a king, so everybody's a Christian, too bad, like it or not. So that was the first Christian city. Now, what's important is that there's historical data that maybe 2 or 3 generations later, his sons or grandsons took over and reverted to paganism. So at that point, the mentioning of the shroud disappears. So the theory then is the believers hid it, all right? So it disappears until 525 AD. All right. Now, why do we think we know that date? 2 things happen in 525 AD. There's an archaeological flood in Edessa, Turkey. All right. And the walls are kind of beat up, falling apart. And the way the story goes, they were trying to fix one of the walls, and inside the wall was a box with a shroud in it. So it was rediscovered. Now, to pin the date to 525, this is going to be very interesting. This is an artist drawing pictures of Jesus' face before 525. Clean-shaven, young guy, short hair. These are mosaics in some of the churches in Edessa. All of a sudden, every single painting and mosaic done after 525, this is done in 550, a painting, has the image of Christ in an artist's opinion with long hair, beard, mustache, a lot older looking than 20, this is 14 years old, this is 32 years old, but a lot older looking, okay? This is actually carbon dated to 550 AD and is a painting that's in the Sinai Peninsula. So from that point to 2014, all of you recognize this as what we think Christ looked like. Before, not used to that shot, all right? So what made him do that? They were looking at the face of the Shroud of Turin. All right, this is a digital overlay of the face of the shroud put in the position of the painting to show that the painter did a mighty good job. So if you put the distance between the middle of his eye, here and here, distance between his tip of his nose and his eye, the wideness of his mouth, the distance from his eye to mouth, the distance of his beard, it matches up in 180 points called points of congruence. So the features of the man in this picture matches the shroud man in 180 positions. This can be used in a court of law to prove somebody guilty, and you need about 37 points of congruence, not 180. 550 AD. So that's, I'm not making this up. This is real. So this makes it, to people that study it and understand it, it makes it pretty convincing this has to be something real.
And here is that whole hour-long lecture, and I will leave the link below, but this is by a Dr. Wayne Phillips, and I thought it was excellent. Not many people take time to research the shroud properly, simply because the majority of people thinks it's a hoax based on the stupid carbon-14 testing where they took the absolute worst part of the Shroud have tested in the church's attempt to bury this story, because I know who the original church fathers say originally was on the Shroud, and that is Simon Magus, here depicted in an early Turkish mosaic that is very similar to this. But I have also had comments saying, well, Jesus is mentioned, his tomb was found, and they give me some vague links to some obscure tomb that has Jesus scrawled in it or something, but nothing has really come back that offers any solid proof that the tomb of Jesus has been found anywhere. But if you know the story comes from Edessa, Turkey, and Queen Helen and the Abgar dynasty and the royal family and those that were fighting against Rome in the final battles of the temple around 68 AD, you can find the tomb really easily. I will leave this link below. This is Pharrell's travel blog, and I thought this was a very well done article. But it talks about the Queen of Adiabeni, and Adiabeni is just a vague biblical name for this region that Edessa lies in the very western part of, kind of an attempt to get you off the story. And the whole story of Abgar and Queen Helen has been erased, and they put in some ridiculous stories saying that Abgar was a leper cured by the Shroud, and of Queen Helen being a prostitute. They try to totally discredit this royal family and try to erase it from history. But this article talks about King Isaides, Queen Helen's son, who was a convert, and they were all converts. And remember in the video I made about Simon Bar Giora, his name Bar Giora meant of a convert or son of a convert. But this talks about Josephus, and I'm going to mention him a little later, and something I think is hilarious. But Josephus tells us where Queen Helena's palace and burial complex was in relation to the temple in Jerusalem. And here it is being excavated. This is exactly where it is. And I will leave the link for this below. But not many people have known about this, and let's just read what it says here in Matthew. It says, "And Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out of in the rock. And he rolled a large stone against the entrance of the tomb and went away." And that comes from Matthew 27. So they totally wanted to erase the story of Queen Helena. So, what does the Bible say? It says, Joseph took the body and put it in his own tomb, which was hewn out of the rock, and there was a large stone that he rolled against the entrance. Well, who is this Joseph of Arimathea? Well, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, his real name is Joseph, or what he was referred to as, and it's all symbolic back then, was Joseph Bar Mathia, because he was the son of Mathia, or Matthias. So, Joseph of Arimathea is just a clever way of writing Joseph Bar Mathia. So, the writers of the Bible give credit to the person who bought the expensive linen and whose tomb it was. They credit that to Joseph of Arimathea, who was Joseph Flavius, the Jewish historian. I think that is hilarious. And in this complex of Queen Helena, in the Tomb of Kings, there is a tomb hewn out of rock with a large rolling stone to block its entrance. You want to know where the tomb of the New Testament Jesus in that story, where it actually is? Well, it's right outside of the south side of the temple. It's been sitting there all along, but the story has been erased. And the person who wrote this blog said the property is under French control, and the last 3 or more times I have been there, it has been closed, and I was unable to rouse anyone by ringing the bell. And I guess this is not well known. It's not like a major tourist attraction, but it should be, because this is where the tomb is. Hope you thought this was interesting. You have a nice day.